Good afternoon. My lecture session will be on strategic compensation and benefit management. This is a part of strategic human resource management. As we all know, that being strategic signifies that in our decision making, we should have some elements that will provide the competitive advantage to my organization. That is the core objective for the decision makers, to become strategic. Now, in case of human resource management, as we have already covered the previous areas where we have seen that how human resource management can be strategic. We can be strategic in terms of human resource planning, manpower demand forecasting, supply forecasting, wastage analysis. We can be strategic in terms of our recruitment and selection and the other areas. So today's discussion will be on strategic compensation and benefit management. Now, I will be sharing a PowerPoint presentation that will hopefully help you to understand it better, that how the strategic components of the compensation and benefit management can be useful. So these are the elements of successful compensation management. If I am drawing up a plan for the strategic compensation management, I have to incorporate these features. First of all, I have to consider the appropriate budget allocation. Each and every company has got its HR budget, so that allocation must be done properly, because we know that in case of the human resource expenses, which is actually reflected in the profit and loss account of any organization, there are three components. If you have ever referred to a PL account, you will see in its schedule that there are three components. First of all, the salary or wage and salary. Second component will be the benefit, and third component will be the welfare expenses. Now, welfare expenses, we have a very limited control on it, because it is somehow guided by the relevant act of the respective nations. But the payment of wage as well as the benefits can be strategically regulated. So the first component will be the budget allocation. Each and every company has got its own budget. So a proper allocation towards the HR expenses must be properly done. So that is the first point that we have in our discussion. Second one, we have to develop the salary ranges. Already, I believe we are familiar with the terms pay bands, pay grades, broadbanding of pay. So these are the areas where the different salary ranges can be accommodated. Next, we have to consciously perform the salary audits and the benefit packages. This may be the most crucial. Being a student of human resource management, I hope you all know that the benefits can be classified into two. One, the statutory. Second one will be the non-statutory. Statutory, especially for our country, in India, these are being guided by multiple labor acts. So those benefits have to be provided according to the acts, but there are many benefits or the benefit packages. If I just go by the points written here, benefit packages. So we are having multiple benefits which are actually not guided by the any statute of our country. Performance management system. There should be a proper performance management system in the organization. The salary should not be disbursed erratically, should not be disbursed judgmentally. If I am just framing up a salary structure, that must be done rationally. There are different methods of drawing this salary structure. There are different methodologies. We can definitely discuss at length in future, provided the scope is there. But one component which is actually working as an input to this entire salary designing is basically known as a performance management system. Everything should be scientifically documented, everything should be properly maintained, properly reviewed, evaluated, so that the entire organization can have a proper performance management system. Just like for the students, the evaluation system is there. Similarly, for each and every employee of an organization should ideally have a evaluation system, and that must be scientifically and properly maintained. Next one, legal compliance. I was just a few minutes before I was talking about the legal compliance. If you have to follow the legal compliance, if you have to abide by the legal compliance of a certain country, you have to. There are no way out. And finally, the structured administration of compensation. Again, the compensation management should be done in a very, very structured way. Must be the appropriate methods, the recent and more updated methods should be followed. So that will definitely help an organization to design a proper compensation management system. In turn, that will remove the disparity, and that will definitely motivate the employees. That definitely will contribute to the organizational effectiveness. Okay, now we can go for the budget allocation. Budget allocation will determine how much of the total compensation budget will be spent on salary and what percentage will be spent on benefits and other incentives. So, salary, wages, benefits, and welfare expenses I was talking about. So, welfare expenses we can keep aside. It is basically beyond the control, because somehow it is guided by the acts of the countries, the employee benefit acts, employee welfare acts, sorry. Now, in case of the salary determination or the wage determination, there are multiple areas. For example, we know in our country we have the Minimum Wage Act. Minimum Wage Act varies state-wise. Minimum Wage Act varies industry-wise. For a particular industry, in a given state, the minimum wages will vary. If you just go through the websites of the respective state governments, the Labor Bureau of Statistics documents, you will see that the minimum wage documents are provided, the links are provided, and you can refer. It will change definitely in a given year. Annually it changes, and you will see that how minimum wages are given. Now, minimum wages are basically the lower benchmark. Already we have learned about the fair wage, the concept of the fair wage, the living wage. So the frugal comforts can be offered to an employee well above the minimum wage benchmark. So that is completely the discretion of the management. Now here comes the importance. You must be having your organizational budget, provided you are actually designing the entire salary and wage in proper way. It will definitely give you the better competitive advantage in future. Similarly, allocating specific budget to pay and benefits can help control labor, healthcare, and other miscellaneous benefit costs. So obviously everything is coming under that the limit, the purview. If the proper salary and benefits are designed, definitely, especially in the industrial, the manufacturing sector, we can see that the incidence of labor unrests, labor disputes, industrial disputes can be lowered down to a great extent. So that can be a very prime objective of the proper budget allocation. If not done, that may have a bad impact on the entire organization. Salary ranges. Now, how to develop the salary ranges? We will definitely talk about the salary ranges in detail. Just this is to give you a very brief overview. See, when we are actually developing the salary ranges, we have to consider many things. First of all, we have to do one particular exercise, a technique which is known as the job evaluation. The complexity of the job, the importance of the job, the relevance of the job have to be considered. Take an example, the complexity, the responsibility of a particular job being performed by the chief executive officer of a company obviously will have the maximum possible degree of intensity. So definitely the salary designed for that particular job will be a lot higher compared to the other jobs which are having lesser degrees of risk, lesser degrees of complexity, as well as the lesser degrees of challenges associated. So that's why designing the salary ranges should be done in accordance with the job evaluation process. Now, how to design a salary? Salary, obviously, when we are actually designing a salary, we can refer to any past data, and we can do a the trend analysis. We can do some regression. We can have some forecasting. In addition to that, we can draw some analogy. If I'm operating in an IT organization, information technology firm, I will just try to see that what another IT organization is offering to its employees, and accordingly, with an analogy drawn with that organization, I can design my salary structure. Now, the geographical variances will play a higher role. The salary being given by an IT organization in Kolkata may be different from a salary being offered by maybe the same organization, another branch in a different city like Mumbai or Bangalore. Obviously, the city compensatory allowance is one factor. Another factor which is actually included is definitely the dearness allowance. It is basically an inflation adjusted component, the dearness allowance, we all know, and that's why it should be designed accordingly. Finally, we can reach to the last point where we have written that regardless, it is important to look at all jobs and determine how the job is slotted and establish salary ranges that match all job descriptions. That is important. And we also know the concept of the wage differentials. For a same job in the same industry, we know that usually, conventionally, there lies to be a similar kind of salary range. Okay, so the concept of the wage differential has to be also incorporated. So all these factors to be considered when actually we are developing the salary ranges. And if we are considering all factors, if we are just incorporating the elements of the modern research, if we are incorporating the elements of statistical methodologies besides the other conventions, it will be helpful for the organization to draw a proper strategic compensation and benefit management. So with this, I would like to conclude this session. Definitely, we will have the further lectures on this particular topic in the following lecture sessions. Thanks. Till that time, stay safe. Thank you.